Hi everybody. As promised, here to talk about Bob a little bit. Let's learn some stuff about Bob. No, this was not Bob's real hair. Well, it was his real hair, but he had a perm. Poor guy. And he couldn't get rid of it. I was not able to upload every video of me putting these together simply because it was a bit redundant and some of them didn't come out ideally. But, I'm going to do the highlights here. Make it kind of short and sweet, not too long. I guess there was an image hidden in the graphics on every spread. I did not find any images of Bob, so no. Oh, I guess in the graphics there. I guess that's what they mean. I thought it was in the photos. Anyway, Bob's real name was Robert Norman Ross. Excuse me. He was born in Daytona Beach, Florida in 1942. He was raised in Orlando. Bob's father, named Jack, was a carpenter. His mother, Ollie, was a waitress. Bob dropped out of high school in 9th grade to work with his father, and he was missing part of his left index finger. A carpentry shop accident, and Bob would hide it with his paint palette. As we just talked about, he permed his hair to save money. And he was going to stop doing it, but it was connected to his brand. This painting was called Black Waterfall. Peapod squirrel down here. There's one who was always in his pocket. Bob taped 403 episodes of his public television show between 1982 and 1994. He also never took a dime to appear in the series, and he did use the show to promote his artwork, books, and line of painting products. And he was a bit of a recluse otherwise. He also was in the Air Force. He was a master sergeant, and his nickname was Bust 'em Up Bobby. When he left the military, Bob vowed he'd never raise his voice again. And that's why he always spoke so softly. Bob would put a little nook in sometimes for wild animals or whatever. Happy accident here. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents, we all know. Bob estimated he'd completed thousands of paintings in his lifetime. Despite such a prolific body of work, it's hard to find an original Bob Ross painting to purchase. Bob donated most of his art to public television to use for fundraising drives, and a large collection of Bob's artwork can be seen at the Bob Ross Art Workshop Gallery in New Smyrna, Florida. Bob took his first art classes at a USO club in Anchorage, Alaska. And he continually developed his painting style by watching the instructor Bill Alexander on TV. And I remember watching him. He would always say, "We have the almighty brush and the almighty canvas." It's a bit more brusque than Bob was. Bob eventually met the teacher. They became friends, and Bob dedicated his show to him. Some artists didn't like Bob's work, but they appreciated him bringing art to the masses. This one was for his mother. It was taped shortly before she passed away, and she loved to listen to waterfalls. See, I don't see a Bob graphic right here. I don't know where they put them. The way Bob cleaned his paintbrushes was an art form of all its own. He would dip it into the thinner and drying it, thwacking it against a box or trash can, he'd quote, beat the devil out of it. This painting was inspired by the swampland in Florida, as well as the wetlands in Georgia and Louisiana. Bob Ross showed the world that if you have 30 minutes, you have time to paint. Bob's tools included 1 and 2 inch brushes, and he also used painting knives. Bob could create clouds, waterfalls, trees, and mountains in seconds. That he could. Bob also had a pet alligator as a child. The creature was his payment for working at a store during Christmas. I took that rascal home, and I wasn't real popular with my mother when I dumped him out on the living room floor. But she let me keep him, and the alligator grew to about 3 feet long and got mean. Bob turned it loose in a local lake. I don't think you could ever make a pet out of an alligator. Secluded forest. Bob always painted on 18 by 24 canvases on his show. 91% of the paintings featured had at least one happy little tree. If Bob painted one tree, there was a 93% chance he'd add a little tree friend to the canvas. He painted mountains on the show 39% of the time, and 34% were of lakes, and 33% of his canvases featured rivers and streams. Annette Kowalski discovered him in 1982. She was taking his 5-day painting course and was delighted by his soft voice and uplifting messages. She wanted the world to know about him, so she became his business partner and made a deal with public television to put the joy of painting on the air. She later helped Bob create his own successful line of art supplies. Bob rarely painted people. In fact, he was so committed to keeping human beings out of his landscapes that a rare cabin he painted almost never had a chimney. Bob felt a chimney was a clear sign there were people around. Everyone knows squirrels are better than people anyway, says Peapod. Bob taped a full season of The Joy of Painting, often in 13 episodes in a little more than 2 days. Like me, my friend Squirrely Whirly Brown was featured on Bob's show. A veterinarian only gave her about 6 months to live after Bob found her, but 4 years later she was still going strong and watching Bob paint in his basement. It's kind of nice. Bob taped so many episodes at once so he could devote more time to teaching and certifying local painting teachers for his method. A documentary was made about Bob. It was called Bob Ross, the Happy Painter. Bob Ross enthusiasts who've been hankering for a new look at critter-loving artists can watch the Best of Joy of Painting Special Edition, which focuses on Bob's appeal to a whole new generation of fans. Bob used a painting technique called wet on wet. In this style, paint is applied to canvas while earlier layers are still wet. Bob might not go down in history as a great master, but Rembrandt, Monet, Sargent, and de Kooning were just some of the renowned artists who also used this technique. And Bob painted with vibrant colors with names like phthalo blue, sap green, and cadmium yellow. Even though Bob also often told his audience, "We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents," he was actually a perfectionist. And Bob may have seemed sweet-natured and agreeable to everyone, said his business partner Annette, but he was actually very demanding and insisted things be done his way. Bob did not give many interviews. He said he was rarely approached. He painted 3 paintings per show. Bob was also a huge country music fan. Hank Snow invited Bob onto stage at the Grand Ole Opry. To thank Snow, Bob gave him a private painting lesson. Bob began his painting career by taking to the road in a motorhome filled with paints and brushes. Bob's early classes were rarely full. He often only had one student show up. Bob was never tempted to cancel small classes. He would teach one person for hours. He knew the giving of this kind was individualized attention would pay him great dividends in the future. Hi-Rez Studios created a video game called Smite, featuring a tree god named Sylvanus. The avatar looked just like Bob. The character splashed paint and created happy little clouds to be used as weapons against his enemies. It was a fitting tribute, since Bob said painting rivers and mountains gave him a sense of unlimited power. When I get home, the only thing I have power over is the garbage. Bob also encouraged his audience to paint from their imaginations, not just copy what he was doing. All we're trying to do is teach you a technique and turn you loose on the world. We use no patterns, no tracings. All we do is just sort of have an idea in our mind and we let it happen. He also always wore a button-down shirt and jeans. He thought the look was timeless, and that way, in coming years, he wouldn't appear dated. Mystic Mountain was painted on the opening episode of The Joy of Painting, 20th season. Bob was a natural teacher. He had a gift for breaking down complicated techniques. Bob trained teachers in the Bob Ross method. Well, duh. Today, only Bob Ross certified instructors are allowed to teach his method. His signature was his easygoing, folksy style. Bob was not above lacing his patter with little commentary on man's interference in the natural order of things. As you know, you always want the top of the mountain to be more distinct than the bottom of the mountain. Because at the bottom we have mist, and now we have wonderful pollution. We have all these things that break up and diffuse light, and it creates the softness at the base of the mountain. Bob was a sensation in Japan, even though they dubbed over his soft voice. The Joy of Painting aired twice a day in Japan, and he would be mobbed when he visited. He wanted his viewers to know he was neither perfect nor above using a few tricks to make his work look good. He admitted, sometimes my hand's a little shaky, so I need all the help I can get. Bob used masking tape to keep the water line in this painting straight. He was shown in United Kingdom, Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, Turkey, South Korea, and many other countries. Holland fans of the show even tuned into the radio to hear Bob Ross, certified instructor, paint while the DJ played songs. No one actually saw the painting. The DJ would merely inquire how the happy little trees were coming along. He encouraged his viewers to study nature. He said creating convincing seascapes like the one in this puzzle forced an artist to study how water moves and churns. Go to the ocean or get a video or photograph of the water and study. If you don't live near the ocean, look at it in books and videos. About 90% of the viewers who watched Bob's show never painted along with him. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. Most of Bob's viewers enjoyed his soft voice and encouraging attitude. One of Bob's jobs in the Air Force was being a medical records technician. When Bob earned more selling art than he was making in the Air Force, he decided to become an artist full-time. During Bob's time in the Air Force, he spent a fair amount of time in Alaska, where tourists like to pan for gold. Bob painted natural landscapes onto gold pans and sold them as souvenirs for $25 a piece. Years later, one of these pans sold on eBay for $7,500. This painting, Golden Rays of Sunshine, was so representative of Bob's teaching success that he included it in the opening credits of his show. In fact, Bob guaranteed that someone who had never picked up a paintbrush could tackle the piece. As an example, he described a paint company representative who had attended one of his teacher reunions. The man had never painted in his whole life. We got that rascal up in front of all these certified instructors from all over the world, and we had Mike paint his first painting, and he did a beautiful job. This one, I think I lost the stickers too, which I'm very sad about. I don't know how I did that. I think it's still got to be around somewhere. Bob's show was a shot with two cameras in real time. The first camera filmed a medium shot of Bob. The other was for close-ups on the canvas and palette. Later in Bob's career, he moved back to his hometown of Orlando, and he built a studio in his basement. According to the Orlando Sentinel, Bob often got inspiration from photos, calendars, and postcards. In most of Bob's paintings, lights that hits trees, water, or rocks comes from the right side of the canvas. Bob admitted it was because he was right-handed. But in this painting, it comes from the left. I know you can't tell. His left-handed friends sometimes write and say, "Why don't you do one coming from the left?" "So let's do that," he said. "Yeah, let's." And it's the one that I lost the stickers to. Bob's son Steve, who is also a gifted artist who made appearances on The Joy of Painting. Steve was a Ross certified instructor, and in the final episode of the show's first season, he read viewers' questions and answered them one at a time while he completed a painting. The pinkish glow in this painting was created using a small amount of the color alizarin crimson. Bob dedicated this canvas to his good friend Frank, who was in the hospital when the show was taped. Frank told Bob he liked mountains, so Bob gave his pal an on-air shout-out. "Frank, this one's for you." That's nice. Bob thought of his painting as an escape. "I could make this world as happy as I want it. Shoot, if you want bad stuff, watch the news." Bob's own business partner called The Joy of Painting liquid tranquilizer. Fortunately for her, it didn't stop viewers from tuning in. The show was an immediate success for public television. Before Bob adopted the frizzy fro, he wore military-style crew cuts. Not sure if he would have been really successful with that crew cut. Since his death, Bob has become a pop icon, referenced in movies like Wreck-It Ralph and on television shows like The Boondocks, Peep Show, and Family Guy. His videos are popular with the devotees of the autonomous sensory meridian response. "Ha ha, look, we got a shout-out." Craze, oh, we're a craze, which people listen to soft whispered voices and sounds to elicit tingly body sensations. Okay. Bob said his most popular request was for paintings of mountains. Even though we do quite a few of them, people love mountains. Bob's show was spoofed in an irreverent trailer for the feature film Deadpool 2. I was going to have to mention that. Bob Ross did pass away in 1995, but thanks to the internet, he's more popular than ever. Not only is The Joy of Painting still a hit, Bob's image can be seen on merchandise and even on a Chia Pet and as a Funko toy. I'm not sure what that is. We miss you, Bob. Yes, we do. And there's the black waterfall. I can see Bob anywhere. I guess it's not there because he would have painted it then. I don't know. Foot of the mountain, happy accident. I want to see the left-handed one. Graceful waterfall, cypress swamp, secluded forest, high tide, spectacular waterfall, rippling waters, mystic mountain, cliffside, golden rays of sunshine. Oh, pretty autumn day. That's one to the left. That's the one I was missing. First snow. Winding stream. And no stickers out there. That's it. I don't know. I can always do a Disney or Star Wars or Frozen one as well. Whenever the store's open again. Maybe get one. But I hope you enjoyed. We both learned a little something about Bob. And everybody hang in there. More coming soon. We'll see you soon.